Welcome to the Vegas Insider YouTube channel. Kevin Rogers and Tony Mejia with you as we take a look at the NBA playoffs in the bubble in Orlando. We finally made it to the end of the regular season, and the playoff matchups are set, except for one in the Western Conference. Have to wait on that play-in series between Portland and Memphis, but we're going to look at all the 8 series in the NBA, and we'll begin, Tony, in the Eastern Conference, where it seems like the first 2 series are going to be pretty fast. And the first one, the Milwaukee Bucks, the #1 seed, taking on the 8th-seeded Orlando Magic. And the Bucks took all 4 meetings from the Magic this season. Tony, is there any way that Orlando can put up a fight here and knock off Milwaukee?
I would have given them a chance to win 2 games if Jonathan Isaac was healthy. Without him, they might win 1.
And it's going to be tough to see that. The Bucks with Giannis Antetokounmpo looking at a second straight MVP, and the Bucks trying to make it to the NBA Finals for the first time in almost 50 years. We'll see if that's their first step against Orlando, the team that knocked off Milwaukee last year, the Toronto Raptors, who ended up winning their first ever title. They are the 2 seed, and they're facing the 7th-seeded Brooklyn Nets, who put up a nice fight so far in the bubble. 5-3 straight up, 6-2 against the spread. But the Raptors did beat the Nets 3 or 4 times this season. And Tony, again, it just seems like it's a tall task for the Nets to beat the Raptors 4 times.
Sure, Karis LeVert has shown everybody who he is in this bubble, and he'll get a lot of OG Anunoby to start with and a bunch of the length and perimeter defenders that Toronto can bring to the table to make sure to throw him off his rhythm. Jared Allen will have to avoid foul trouble for the Nets to win even 1 game. The Raptors should sweep.
In the next matchup, the 3-6 between the Celtics and the 76ers, Philadelphia actually won 3 or 4 meetings from Boston this season, but no Ben Simmons for the Sixers in this series. And Boston now with Kemba Walker running the point, not Kyrie Irving anymore. The Celtics, will see if they can get some revenge on the 76ers. They had a nice finish to the bubble.
Yeah, I mean, look, Boston is obviously the favorite. Will we write off Philadelphia entirely? No, it's going to depend on what Joel Embiid is able to bring to the table in those first 2 games. Those are the games that Philadelphia needs to generate confidence in. If they can hang around and steal 1, I think we're in for a long series. Still, you favor the Celtics and you expect Kemba Walker to improve as the series unfolds.
In the 4-5, it's the Heat and the Pacers, and these 2 teams no strangers to each other in the postseason. Miami won the season series from Indiana, and of course we'll watch that Jimmy Butler, TJ Warren rivalry. But the Pacers a bit dinged up, no Sabonis, and Warren's dealing with plantar fasciitis. And the Heat, if they hit their shots, this could be a quick series.
Sure, I think the Heat really made a statement in shutting down TJ Warren, holding him scoreless in the second half of that most recent meeting before the meaningless one that ended the seeding games for both. And so they're going to be able to catapult off that momentum and really drop the hammer on a banged-up Indiana team. The Pacers need Malcolm Brogdon and Victor Oladipo to play way over their heads to stand a chance in that series, even though it's a 4-5.
And here are our predictions for the Eastern Conference with the 4 series. Now looking at the Western Conference, and the #1 seeded Los Angeles Lakers, they're waiting on their opponent in the first round, either the Memphis Grizzlies or the Portland Trail Blazers, who have the play-in series this weekend. But Tony, get LeBron and Anthony Davis healthy. Granted, it's a zany cast of characters around them, but we got to think the Lakers a heavy favorite here, that they will advance past whoever they play in that first round.
Sure. Against the Blazers, they'd have their hands full. Against the Grizzlies, they wouldn't. And I think you'll see a rooting interest develop. Clearly, the way that Damian Lillard is shooting the ball is a problem if the Lakers have to deal with that for a week or 2.
In the 2-7 matchup, the other LA team, the Clippers, taking on the Mavericks. And LA won all 3 meetings from Dallas this season, including one in the bubble, and Kawhi Leonard was great against the Mavs. We'll see what Luka Doncic can do in his playoff debut, but it just could be too much Clippers here against a Dallas team that's had their issues from the outside.
Yeah, Doncic, a phenom, the most brilliant player we've seen since LeBron James came into the league. He's about to get a rude awakening as to what NBA playoff basketball is all about, courtesy of the best perimeter defense the league has to offer. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and Patrick Beverley will all take their turns.
In the 3-6 matchup, battled Northwest Division rivals Denver and Utah. The Nuggets won all 3 meetings from the Jazz this season. Utah, a bit of a shaky showing in the bubble so far, and the Nuggets trying to get back to health. And this will be a very interesting series because you can see maybe the Jazz stealing it. It really is up in the air.
Sure is, Kevin. One of the 2 series I expect will go the distance. It's really going to depend on whether Donovan Mitchell can grow and feel comfortable throughout the course of the series to play closer in a game 6 and 7. Denver has the edge. It's great that Michael Porter Jr. has emerged as an X factor, but don't count out the Jazz.
And in the 4-5, a couple old friends and old teams getting together, the Rockets and the Thunder, as Chris Paul seeing his former team that he helped get far in the playoffs with James Harden. But James Harden's running mate, Russell Westbrook, a bit banged up now against his former team here in the first round. So we'll see how much of a factor that is and how long Westbrook could be out, where Harden will have to carry the load himself.
Sure, and Westbrook's going to miss at least the first game, probably the first few. It's up to Oklahoma City to really take advantage of that, to extend the series. I think we're going to see a 7-game series. I wouldn't write off Houston simply because I think guys like Austin Rivers and Ben McLemore and the returning Eric Gordon will step up to help Harden. But, man, you're getting into a war with Chris Paul, who's going to use all his intellect to make sure that James Harden and that free-flowing system never gets too comfortable.
And here are our predictions for the Western Conference best-of-7 first-round series. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Vegas Insider. You could find all of our videos. We'll have plenty of prediction videos daily during the NBA playoffs, which begin on Monday, and also our Major League Baseball videos as well. For Tony Mejia, I am Kevin Rogers. Thanks again for watching, and best of luck with your bets.